Have you ever found yourself doing all the talking with a friend, and somehow you can't seem to let the other person get a word in edgewise? I found myself in that situation recently. I talked my friend's ear off. I love my life as an American expat in Indonesia. The culture, the people, the food, the daily adventures. There's always something new to experience, something to learn, and something to appreciate. Over the years, Indonesia has become my true home. But every now and then, something happens that reminds me just how different life is here and how much I've adjusted. Like the moment I meet another American and suddenly realize I have not stopped talking. It's as if a switch flips. 1 second, we're saying hello, and the next, I'm talking their ear off, barely pausing for breath. And the funny part? I don't even mean to do it, it just happens. Most of the time, I go about my daily life completely immersed in my surroundings. I speak Indonesian. I navigate the quirks of daily life without a second thought. And I interact with people from all different backgrounds, many of whom have never set foot in the US and don't really know much about it. I even have a lot of people to speak English with. Indonesian friends who are fluent in English, Dutch friends who seem to always speak English as if it's their native language, British expats, and more. In fact, one time a Canadian friend asked me why I always spoke English to my veterinarian. My answer? She travels internationally for conferences and seminars, all in English, so I figured I was giving her extra practice. Besides, for her, practicing English was way more important than me getting extra practice in Indonesian. Hi, I'm Kate. I'm an American expat living in Indonesia and now make videos about both the challenges and the joys of living as an expat in Indonesia. Welcome to my YouTube channel, KateGypsy. So it's not about having the chance to speak in English. It's more about interacting with someone from the same culture, even though that person might come from a very different part of the US with very different traditions and speech patterns. Yes, the second I sit across from another American, something shifts. I suddenly realize that I don't have to explain everything. There's no need to rephrase a joke or provide context for some odd American reference. They just get it. And before I know it, I've been rambling nonstop, covering everything from daily life in Indonesia to things I didn't even realize were on my mind. Yeah, when I meet another American, there's that unspoken understanding, a kind of instant connection that doesn't need to be explained. I don't have to adjust my speech, simplify cultural references, or backtrack to provide context. We just get it. And that's when it happens. The floodgates open, and suddenly I'm talking a mile a minute. And trust me, after realizing I've been doing all the talking for far too long, I tried to dial it back. But let's be real. If you've been an expat for years and you meet someone from the country you grew up in, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Take, for example, the time I met with a fellow American for lunch. Let's call him Mike. He'd been in Indonesia for a while, but not nearly as long as I have. When we sat down, we exchanged the usual greetings, but within minutes, we were deep into a conversation that felt effortless. I started talking about something simple, maybe the quirks of grocery shopping in Indonesia, but before I knew it, we had covered everything from how baffling local immigration rules can be to the emotional roller coaster of getting a package through customs, to the sheer joy of finding a restaurant that serves really very good Greek food. And poor Mike, well, he barely got a word in. I didn't mean to dominate the conversation. It wasn't intentional. It's just that for once I was talking to someone who didn't need an explanation for everything. I could mention so many things without having to define them. I could joke about how getting my visa extensions here requires a level of patience I never knew I had. And he would just nod in knowing agreement. I could talk about weird little things like the convenience of 24-hour grocery stores, and he would understand exactly what I meant. That kind of ease in conversation is something I don't even realize I miss until I have it again. Living in another country means constantly adapting to language, customs, humor, social norms. And while I love that about expat life, it does mean that everyday conversations require a little more effort. I'm used to explaining things, rewording jokes that don't quite translate, or simplifying concepts that would be second nature to other Americans. So when I meet another American, someone on the same cultural wavelength, I suddenly realize how freeing it is to just talk without all that adjusting. And wow, do I talk. Mike, to his credit, was patient. He nodded along as I went off on tangents. He commented on my stories and even added a few of his own. He had plenty to say too, but I suspect he recognized what was happening, that I was in full on, I found my people mode, and there was no stopping me. We covered everything from the quirks of living here to the things we missed, the things we never expected to love, and the bizarre moments that only expats truly understand. Like that strange feeling of being simultaneously at home and foreign in the same place. Or how people in our home country never understand us. Or how we've learned to embrace new customs while still clinging to tiny pieces of American life, even if that just means occasionally splurging on an overpriced steaks imported from the US. By the end of our lunch, I could tell I had probably talked a little too much. I felt a bit guilty for steamrolling over half of what Mike had tried to say, but at the same time, I knew he got it. He'd probably been in my shoes before, and if not, he would be eventually. Because no matter how much you love expat life, no matter how well you adapt, there's something comforting about meeting someone who speaks your language, not just in words, but in experiences. In the taxi on the way home, I felt something I hadn't even realized I needed: a little recharge of familiarity. Not in the sense of missing the US or wanting to move back, no, but in the way that familiar conversation can refill your energy in a way nothing else can. It's like pressing a reset button on cultural fatigue. After spending so much time adjusting, blending in, and making sure I'm understood, having a conversation where everything just clicks is rare. After I got home, I emailed him that I realized I'd done the majority of the talking, and next time I'd let him talk more. He replied that he didn't feel that I was talking too much. How polite he was. He was probably just being kind, but would probably hold me to my promise next time we got together. That doesn't mean I don't love my life in Indonesia. I absolutely do, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. As I've mentioned in previous videos, Indonesia is the only place I've ever felt at home. And that feeling means the whole world to me. And something I love about being an expat is learning to see the world from different perspectives. I love speaking Indonesian, even though my ability still needs lots and lots of help. Adapting to new ways of doing things and experiencing life in a way that's completely different from where I grew up. But at the same time, it's nice to have those moments where I don't have to explain everything. So if you're an expat and you find yourself talking way too much when you meet someone from back home, don't feel bad. It's just part of the experience. And if you're on the receiving end of a long-winded conversation from a fellow expat or a fellow countryman, just smile and nod, because you never know when it'll be your turn to do exactly the same thing. And Mike, if you're out there, I promise I'll let you talk more next time. Do you ever find yourself doing all the talking when you're with a friend? Please leave a comment below and I'd love to hear about it. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Till next time.